The glassblower's breath. Sophia sat at her desk on the 29th floor, staring at spreadsheets that blurred together. Numbers, projections, quarterly reports. She had been an investment analyst for 14 years. Every day was the same, analyzing companies, predicting performance, advising clients where to put their money. She was 38 years old, vice president at a major investment firm, six-figure salary, prestigious title. Everyone thought she had made it, but Sophia felt like she was dying inside, one spreadsheet at a time. The work that once excited her now felt pointless. She was helping rich people become richer, moving money around in abstract financial instruments, creating nothing real, touching nothing physical, making nothing that mattered. Her hands ached from typing, her eyes burned from screen glare, her shoulders were permanently tense. She took medication for anxiety, for insomnia, for digestive problems caused by stress. This couldn't be what life was supposed to be. That Friday afternoon, Sophia closed her laptop and left work early. She couldn't face another minute of analyzing tech stocks and pharmaceutical companies. She needed to be anywhere else. She walked without destination through the city. The spring air was warm. Cherry blossoms bloomed in parks. People sat at outdoor cafes enjoying the weather. Everyone seemed relaxed, present, alive. Sophia felt separate from all of it, trapped behind an invisible wall of stress and emptiness. She found herself in an arts district she rarely visited. Small galleries, craft studios, independent shops. In one window, she saw something that stopped her completely. Glass sculptures, elegant forms in brilliant colors, vessels and bowls, abstract shapes and flowing figures. Each piece seemed to capture light, to glow from within, to dance with color and transparency. Sophia entered the gallery, drawn by something she couldn't name. The glass pieces were even more beautiful up close. Smooth curves, vibrant hues, surfaces that seemed liquid despite being solid. Some were functional, vases and bowls. Others were pure art, forms that served no purpose except beauty. "Those are all hand-blown," a woman's voice said. Sophia turned to see the gallery owner approaching. Traditional glass-blowing techniques. Each piece is unique, made directly by the artist working with molten glass. "Molten glass?" Sophia asked. Glass heated to over 2,000 degrees, glowing orange, soft enough to shape, but cooling constantly. The glass blower gathers it on a pipe, blows air into it to create a bubble, shapes it with tools and gravity and breath. It's ancient craft. Humans have been blowing glass for 2,000 years. Sophia was fascinated, creating beauty from fire and breath, shaping molten material with your own lungs and hands. It seemed impossibly distant from her world of screens and spreadsheets, impossibly real and direct. One piece particularly captured her attention, a vase in swirling blues and greens, colors flowing like ocean currents, form elegant and perfectly balanced. She stood before it for a long time, mesmerized.
"That's by Michael Chen," the gallery owner said. "He's one of our finest glassblowers. Actually, he teaches classes at his studio if you're interested in learning." "Learning to blow glass?" The idea seemed absurd. Sophia was an analyst, not an artist. She worked with numbers, not materials. She had never made anything with her hands beyond spreadsheets and reports. But something pulled at her, some longing she couldn't name, some hunger for work that engaged more than just her mind. She took the studio information, thanked the gallery owner, and left. Walking home, she couldn't stop thinking about molten glass, about breath shaping beauty, about making something real with fire and air. That evening, Sophia researched glassblowing obsessively. She watched videos of glassblowers at work, the orange glow of molten glass, the fluid movements of shaping, the constant dance with heat and gravity and time. She read about the history of glass, about techniques and tools, about contemporary glass artists creating remarkable work. She felt something she hadn't felt in years: excitement. Not the anxious excitement of work deadlines, but genuine enthusiasm, curiosity, desire to learn and create. At midnight, she made a decision. She would take Michael Chen's beginner glassblowing class, just to try it, just to see what it was like. One weekend workshop couldn't hurt. Maybe it would satisfy this strange longing, or maybe it would show her this wasn't for her. Either way, she needed to try. She couldn't live the rest of her life wondering what making something beautiful with fire and breath would feel like. The glass-blowing studio was industrial space in a converted warehouse. Large furnaces glowed orange. Tools hung on racks. Workbenches were scarred from heat and use. The air shimmered with warmth. Everything smelled of heat and metal and possibility. Michael Chen greeted the 6 workshop participants. He was perhaps 50, with calm presence and strong hands marked by small burn scars. He explained he had been blowing glass for 25 years, had left engineering career to pursue it full-time. Glass blowing is ancient craft, but also contemporary art, Michael began. You'll learn techniques unchanged for centuries, but you'll apply them to your own creative vision. Today, you'll make a simple paperweight. Small project, but it will teach you fundamental skills. He demonstrated the process, gathering molten glass from furnace on end of blowpipe, shaping it with wooden tools and wet newspaper, blowing air through pipe to create a bubble, reheating in furnace, shaping more, adding color. The movements were fluid, confident, practiced. Then it was students' turn. Michael helped each person gather their first bit of molten glass. When Sophia's turn came, she approached the furnace nervously. The heat was intense, radiating outward in waves. Michael guided her hands, showed her how to dip pipe into furnace, turn it slowly, gather a blob of glowing orange glass onto pipe's end. The glass was heavy, viscous, alive with heat. It dripped and sagged, responding to gravity, cooling and stiffening as it moved away from furnace. Sophia had to keep turning the pipe constantly, or the glass would fall off. "Now blow," Michael instructed, showing her where to place her mouth on pipe's other end. Sophia blew steadily, The glass expanded, forming bubble inside the glowing mass. She was creating form with her own breath. The realization was profound. Her breath, the most intimate thing, was literally shaping this material. For the next hour, with Michael's patient guidance, Sophia worked her glass, reheating it in furnace when it stiffened, shaping it with tools, adding colored glass, blowing again to refine the form. Every movement had to be deliberate but fluid, firm but responsive to the material. It was the hardest thing she'd ever done physically. The heat was exhausting, the pipe was heavy, her arms ached from holding it, from constant turning. Sweat poured down her face, but she was completely absorbed, more focused than she'd been in years. When her paperweight was finally complete, a simple sphere with swirls of blue glass within clear, Sophia felt something unfamiliar. Pride. Real pride in something she had made with her own hands, her own breath, her own effort. Michael placed it in the annealing oven where it would cool slowly overnight. "You can pick it up tomorrow," he said. "Nice work for your first piece. You have good instincts." Sophia could hardly wait for the next day's class. She went home exhausted, arms sore, small burns on her hands from heat and carelessness, but she felt more alive than she had in years. She had made something, not analyzed it, not advised about it, made it. Sunday's class built on Saturday's skills. Sophia made a small bowl, learning to shape the bubble into open form, to create even walls, to add decorative elements. It was still difficult, still exhausting, but she was starting to understand the rhythm. Gather, heat, shape, blow, repeat. By the end of the weekend, Sophia had 2 pieces, the paperweight and the bowl. They were imperfect, clearly beginner work, but they were beautiful to her. She had created them from molten glass and breath and intention. They existed in the world because she made them. Driving home Sunday evening, Sophia knew she would continue. This wasn't passing curiosity. This was calling. The work engaged her completely, body and mind together, physical effort and artistic vision unified. It filled something that had been empty for years. She signed up for Michael's ongoing evening classes. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she would leave her investment job and go to the studio. 2 hours of working with molten glass, of breathing beauty into being, of making something real. Her coworkers thought she was crazy. Glass blowing? That's a hobby, not a career. Why waste time on it? But Sophia didn't care what they thought. For the first time in years, she was doing something that truly mattered to her.
Sophia progressed rapidly. She practiced twice weekly in evening classes, then started coming weekends too. Michael let her rent studio time, working independently while he was there for guidance and safety. She learned to read the glass, understanding when it was the right temperature for shaping, when it needed reheating, when it would accept color or resist it. Glass communicated through its behavior, and Sophia learned to listen. She learned the tools, jacks for shaping, paddles for flattening, shears for cutting, punties for holding. Each tool had a specific use, required particular technique. Mastering them took hundreds of hours of practice. She learned about color, how different metal oxides created different hues, how colors mixed and flowed in molten state, how they appeared different when hot versus cooled. She experimented endlessly, discovering combinations she loved. But more than technique, Sophia learned about timing. Everything in glassblowing happened in a narrow window of opportunity. Glass cooled constantly. You had seconds or maybe minutes to shape it before it became too stiff. Miss the moment and you had to reheat, start that step again. This demanded complete presence. You couldn't blow glass while thinking about something else. Your attention had to be fully here, fully now, responsive to what the glass was doing this second. This enforced presence was meditation for Sophia. At work, her mind was always scattered, worrying about deadlines, replaying conversations, planning next steps. But at the studio, her mind was completely focused. Just this gather of glass, this breath, this moment of shaping. The quiet was profound. She also learned about failure. Most pieces didn't work. They cracked in a annealing oven overnight. They came out misshapen. Colors didn't work as she hoped. This was frustrating, but also liberating. Unlike her investment work, where mistakes could mean millions lost, glass-blowing mistakes just meant trying again. The stakes were personal, not financial. After 6 months of intensive practice, Sophia had created dozens of pieces. Most were small, bowls, vases, ornaments. Some were successful, many weren't, but each taught her something. Michael encouraged her to develop her own style rather than just copying his. Every glassblower has a signature approach, he said. You need to find yours. What calls to you? What do you want to express through glass? Sophia thought about this constantly as she worked. What was she trying to say? What did she want to create? She realized she was drawn to organic forms that suggested water and air, flowing shapes, fluid curves, colors that reminded her of ocean and sky. Her best pieces had a quality of movement frozen in glass, of natural forces captured and held. "You're finding your voice," observed Michael, examining a vase Sophia had made with flowing blues and greens. "This is distinctly yours. Keep developing this direction." His encouragement meant everything. Sophia respected Michael enormously. His skill, his artistry, his dedication to craft. His approval validated her growing sense that she might actually be good at this. As her first year of glassblowing approached, Sophia faced a question she'd been avoiding. What was this leading to? Was glassblowing just a hobby, a pleasant escape from work stress, or was it something more? She knew the answer. This was more. This was a calling. She wanted to blow glass professionally, to make it her life's work, to build everything around this craft she'd fallen in love with. But that would mean leaving her investment job, giving up financial security, risking failure. At 39, was she too old to become a professional artist? Did she have enough talent? Could she actually make a living from glass? The questions terrified her, but not trying terrified her more. She couldn't spend the rest of her life in investment banking, couldn't keep analyzing stocks and advising wealthy clients when her true passion was shaping molten glass into beauty. She made her decision. She would leave her job. She would commit fully to glassblowing. She would give herself 3 years to make it work. If she failed, she could return to finance, but she had to try.
Sophia gave notice at her investment firm. Her boss was shocked, tried to convince her to stay with promises of promotion and a raise. "You're throwing away your career for art? That's financial suicide." But Sophia was certain. She had enough savings to support herself for 2 years if she lived frugally. She would rent full-time studio space, work every day, develop her craft seriously, build a body of work, find galleries to represent her. It was terrifying and exhilarating. Her last day at the firm felt like release from prison. She walked out of the office building and felt weight lift from her shoulders. She was free to pursue work she actually loved. The next morning, she woke with no job, no office to go to, no meetings scheduled, just empty day to fill with work she chose. Sophia went to the studio and blew glass for 8 hours. It was the best day she'd had in years. She established a routine: studio 6 days a week, 8 to 10 hours daily, learning constantly, making constantly, failing constantly, occasionally succeeding. The work was hard, physically demanding, mentally challenging, emotionally vulnerable, but it was real in a way her finance work had never been. Michael became her mentor formally. He taught her advanced techniques, making larger pieces, creating complex forms, adding sophisticated decorative elements. He shared business knowledge, pricing work, approaching galleries, building website, managing finances. Being a professional artist requires business skills as much as artistic skills, Michael explained. You have to make good work, yes, but also sell it, market it, manage money, deal with rejection. Many talented artists fail because they don't develop business side. Sophia applied her finance experience to her art business. She created spreadsheets tracking costs and income. She researched markets and pricing. She developed a business plan. Her analytical skills, useless for creative work itself, were valuable for business side. After 6 months of full-time practice, Sophia had created enough strong work for her first gallery submission. She photographed pieces professionally, wrote artist statement, contacted galleries. Most rejected her, too new, too unknown, not established enough. But one gallery in the arts district accepted 3 pieces on consignment. Small beginning, but real beginning. Her work was in a gallery, available for purchase, being seen by serious collectors. The first piece sold within a week, a bowl in swirling blues with elegant form. The gallery took their commission, but Sophia still made several $100s. More importantly, someone had wanted her work enough to pay for it, to take it home, to value it. She created more pieces, refined her style, improved her technique. Slowly, she built a reputation. Galleries started accepting more work. Pieces sold regularly, though not enough yet to fully support her. She taught occasional beginner workshops to supplement income.
Teaching was rewarding in unexpected ways. Watching beginners experience their first successful piece, seeing their faces light up when they made something beautiful, reminded Sophia of her own first experiences. She was passing forward what Michael had given her. One student was a woman named Lisa, who was 45 and burned out from nursing career. She attended Sophia's workshop and experienced exactly what Sophia had experienced 3 years earlier: the shock of direct creative work, the satisfaction of making something real, the longing to do more. "This is what's been missing," Lisa told Sophia. "Connection to making, to using my hands for creation instead of just service. I need more of this in my life." Sophia encouraged her to continue, to take ongoing classes, to see where it led. She recognized herself in Lisa, the midlife crisis, the hunger for meaningful work, the discovery of craft as answer. Watching Lisa develop over following months, Sophia understood her own journey better. The transformation she'd experienced wasn't unusual. Many people discovered craft at midlife, found it filled holes that conventional careers had created. As Sophia approached 3 years of full-time glassblowing, she evaluated her progress. She wasn't wealthy, but she was supporting herself entirely through her art: gallery sales, commissions, teaching workshops. She had work in 5 galleries. She had been juried into several significant craft shows. She was building a sustainable artistic career. More importantly, she was happy. She loved her work. She loved working with molten glass, loved the constant challenge, loved creating beauty that people valued. She had found her calling. She thought about her former life, the corner office, the corporate meetings, the spreadsheets and projections. That woman seemed like a stranger. Sophia had transformed completely, had become herself in ways she never had been before. Michael noticed her growth. "You're not a beginner anymore," he said. "You're a real glassblower now. Your work has maturity and vision. You found your voice." His words meant everything. Sophia had worked so hard, risked so much. To have her mentor confirm she'd succeeded, she'd become what she aspired to be, validated all of it.
As Sophia moved into her 5th year of professional glassblowing, her relationship with the medium deepened in unexpected ways. She was no longer just learning technique. She was exploring possibilities, pushing boundaries, discovering what glass could express. She started creating larger, more ambitious pieces, not just bowls and vases, but sculptural forms, abstract shapes that existed purely as art, that served no function except beauty and meaning. One series explored transparency and opacity, clear glass with opaque inclusions, playing with how light moved through and was blocked by different densities. Another series investigated flow, forms that suggested liquid movement, glass that seemed frozen mid-pour. These experimental pieces didn't always sell well. They were challenging, not conventionally pretty, but they taught Sophia more than functional pieces ever could. They pushed her to think deeply about what glass could do, what she wanted to express. A curator from a contemporary craft museum saw her experimental work and was intrigued. She offered Sophia a solo exhibition, her first significant museum show. The exhibition would feature 20 pieces exploring themes of transformation and flow.
Sophia spent 6 months creating work for the exhibition. It was the most intensive creative period of her life. She worked 12-hour days, pushing herself technically and conceptually. Some pieces failed spectacularly, others exceeded what she'd thought possible. The opening night of the exhibition was surreal. The museum gallery filled with people, collectors, other artists, critics, friends. Sophia's work glowed under careful lighting, each piece positioned to show its best qualities. People responded strongly. Some were confused by the experimental nature, preferring her more conventional work, but others were deeply moved, saw what she was exploring, appreciated the risk and ambition. One collector bought 3 pieces. A critic wrote a positive review praising her fearless exploration of material limits and expressive potential. A Glass art magazine did a feature article about her work and her journey from finance to glass. The exhibition elevated Sophia's career significantly. More galleries wanted her work. She received commissions for larger installations. Her prices increased. She was becoming recognized as a serious artist, not just competent craftsperson. But success brought new challenges. Demand increased. People wanted her to make more conventional pieces that sold well. Galleries pressured her to produce efficiently. The financial pressure to keep making what worked was real. Sophia struggled with this. She'd left finance to do meaningful creative work, not to become production artist churning out popular styles. She wanted to keep experimenting, growing, risking, but she also needed to earn a living. Michael helped her think through it. Every artist faces this tension. You need to find a balance. Make some work that sells and supports you. Make some work that challenges and grows you. Don't let commercial pressure kill your creativity, but don't starve pursuing only experimental work. Sophia developed a system. She spent mornings on commission work and production pieces, the bowls and vases that sold reliably. Afternoons were for experimental work, pushing boundaries, trying new approaches, creating pieces that might never sell, but that taught her and expressed her artistic vision. This balance sustained her. The production work provided income and satisfied collectors who wanted her signature style. The experimental work fed her creativity and prevented artistic stagnation. She also started teaching more seriously, not just occasional weekend workshops, but ongoing classes, apprenticeships for serious students, master classes for advanced glassblowers. Teaching forced her to articulate her understanding, to make conscious what was often intuitive. Her students ranged widely. Some were hobbyists wanting creative outlet. Others were serious, aspiring artists. A few were professionals seeking to refine their skills. Sophia adapted her teaching to each student's needs and goals. One particularly talented student was a young man named David. He was 24, had studied fine arts in college, wanted to become a professional glassblower. He had natural talent combined with a strong work ethic.
Sophia took him on as apprentice. He would work in her studio, assist with production pieces, receive intensive training in exchange for small stipend. The arrangement benefited both. David got comprehensive education. Sophia got help with workload. Training David reminded Sophia of her own apprenticeship with Michael. She realized she was now in position to give what had been given to her: knowledge, support, encouragement, belief in someone's potential. This felt like sacred responsibility. David thrived under her mentorship. His work improved rapidly. Within 2 years, he was creating remarkable pieces, developing his own style, beginning to build his own career. Watching him succeed gave Sophia deep satisfaction. "You've given me so much," David told her, "not just technique, but understanding of what it means to be artist, how to build sustainable practice, how to keep creativity alive while meeting practical demands. I'm passing forward what you've taught me." This pleased Sophia enormously. She was part of a lineage now. Michael had taught her, she was teaching David, David would teach others. The knowledge flowed forward through generations of glassblowers.
In her 10th year as professional glassblower, Sophia received unexpected honor. She was selected as one of 50 American craft artists to receive prestigious fellowship from National Craft Foundation. The fellowship included significant cash award and exhibition at the Foundation's museum. The recognition validated her decade of work. She had gone from complete beginner to nationally recognized artist. Her transformation from investment analyst to master glassblower was complete. The fellowship exhibition was significant opportunity. Work by all 50 fellows would be shown together, would be seen by major collectors and curators, would be documented in catalog distributed to museums and galleries nationwide. Sophia created her most ambitious piece yet for the exhibition, a large installation of glass vessels suggesting a coral reef. Dozens of individual pieces, each unique, working together to create larger ecosystem. The piece explored themes of connection, interdependence, fragile beauty. Creating the installation took 6 months of intensive work. Each component had to be perfect individually and also work within larger composition. The technical challenges were extreme. The conceptual ambition pushed her to new level. When installed in museum, the piece was stunning. Light moved through the glass elements, creating shifting patterns. The forms suggested organic growth, natural systems, life interconnected. Visitors spent long periods contemplating it, drawn into its complexity and beauty. The installation received widespread praise. Critics called it a masterful synthesis of technical excellence and conceptual depth. Collectors competed to purchase components. The Craft Foundation featured it prominently in their promotional materials. More than external recognition, Sophia felt internal satisfaction. She had created something that expressed her vision fully, that pushed her abilities to limit, that contributed something valuable to contemporary craft. This was what she had been working toward. The fellowship also brought financial security. The cash award allowed her to buy the studio space she'd been renting, to upgrade equipment, to build a cushion so she wouldn't have to accept every commission or make pieces just because they sold well. This freedom was precious. Sophia could now focus more on experimental work, could take time to develop new ideas thoroughly, could say no to work that didn't interest her. Financial pressure had been a constant companion for years. Having breathing room transformed her practice. She also used the fellowship to give back. She established scholarship fund, helping young glassblowers access training and equipment they couldn't otherwise afford. She taught free workshops for underserved communities. She mentored emerging artists generously. I was helped so much along my path, Sophia explained. Michael gave me foundation. Galleries took chances on me. Collectors bought my work when I was unknown. Teachers shared knowledge. I want to extend that generosity forward. Her teaching expanded significantly. She taught at craft schools, led workshops nationally, gave lectures about her work and her journey. She was honest about challenges, the fear of leaving stable career, the financial struggles, the doubts and setbacks, the hard work required. Everyone sees successful artists and thinks it was easy or lucky, Sophia would tell students. But behind every successful practice are years of struggle, countless failures, persistent dedication. Success comes from not giving up, not from natural talent or lucky breaks. Her honesty resonated with students. They appreciated hearing that transformation was possible but required real effort, that artistic career could be built but demanded sacrifice and commitment. She wasn't selling fantasy, but showing realistic path. As Sophia approached 50, she reflected on her journey. 20 years since she'd first seen blown glass in a gallery window. 12 years since she'd left investment banking. A decade as a professional artist. It felt simultaneously like long time and like yesterday. She had created hundreds of pieces, taught hundreds of students, built sustainable artistic career, doing work she loved, transformed from stressed analyst to content artist, found purpose and meaning that had been missing from corporate life. Looking at her life now compared to 20 years ago, Sophia could hardly believe the transformation. That exhausted analyst sitting at her desk seemed like a different person. In some ways, she was. Sophia had become herself through glass, discovered who she really was beneath the career and identity she'd constructed to meet others' expectations. In her mid-50s, Sophia's focus shifted increasingly toward teaching. She still created work, gallery pieces, commissions, experimental projects, but teaching became central to her practice in new ways. She developed a comprehensive training program, year-long intensive covering technical skills, artistic development, business knowledge. The program accepted 10 students annually, provided deep education in all aspects of professional glassblowing. Applications came from across the country. Sophia selected carefully, looking for dedication, potential, and diversity of background and perspective. She wanted students who would bring different voices to glass, who would expand the field rather than just replicate existing approaches. Her students ranged from recent college graduates to midlife career changers like she had been. Teaching people at different life stages required different approaches. Young students needed foundation and direction. Older students brought life experience, but often battled self-doubt. Sophia particularly connected with midlife students. She understood their fear of change, their questioning whether it was too late, their struggle to justify pursuing art when practical pressures argued against it. She could speak from experience about how transformation was possible, how age brought advantages of focus and determination young people often lacked. One student was a woman named Margaret, who was 47, had been pharmacist for 20 years, felt dead inside from work that had become routine. She discovered glassblowing through chance workshop, immediately knew she needed more. "I feel alive for first time in years," Margaret told Sophia during her interview. "Working with molten glass, creating something beautiful, it engages me completely. My pharmacy work feels like sleepwalking by comparison." Sophia accepted Margaret into the program. Over the following year, she watched Margaret transform, gaining skill rapidly, discovering artistic voice, rebuilding confidence that had eroded during years of unfulfilling work. Margaret eventually left pharmacy to pursue glassblowing professionally. It was risky financially, scary emotionally, but Sophia supported her completely, having made that same leap herself. "You're not too old," Sophia assured her. "You're exactly the right age. You bring maturity, focus, and determination that younger artists often lack. You know what you're sacrificing and why it's worth it. That clarity will sustain you through hard times." Margaret succeeded. She built a sustainable practice, found her niche creating functional glass for high-end restaurants and homes. She became another example of midlife transformation through craft, another thread in the pattern Sophia was part of. Teaching wasn't just passing technical knowledge. Sophia taught values, respect for material, commitment to quality, integrity in business dealings, generosity toward other artists, responsibility to share knowledge. Glassblowing community could be competitive, she told students. Artists guarding secrets, viewing others as threats, but that depletes everyone. Better approach is generosity, sharing knowledge, supporting each other, recognizing that everyone's success strengthens the field. She modeled this generosity. When students asked how she achieved certain effects, she showed them completely, holding nothing back. When other artists asked for advice, she gave it freely. When opportunities arose that she couldn't take, she recommended emerging artists. This approach built community. Her former students stayed connected, supported each other's work, collaborated on projects, referred collectors and galleries to each other. They formed a network based on mutual support rather than competition. She also taught about sustainability, both environmental and personal. Glass production used significant energy. Melting glass required high heat. She taught students to minimize waste, to recycle cullet, broken glass, to use energy-efficient equipment when possible. And she taught about sustaining personal practice long-term, how to pace yourself to avoid burnout, how to balance production work with experimental work, how to maintain creativity over decades, how to adapt as you age and physical capabilities change. Professional artistic practice is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to find a sustainable pace, develop practices that nourish you rather than deplete you. That's how you work for 40 or 50 years instead of burning out in 10. As she approached 60, Sophia began thinking about legacy more explicitly. She had been blowing glass professionally for over 20 years. How many more years did she have? How did she want to spend them? She decided to focus on training master teachers, experienced glassblowers who wanted to teach professionally. She developed special program teaching not just glassblowing, but pedagogy, curriculum design, student assessment, creating inclusive learning environments. The field needs more excellent teachers, Sophia explained. For glassblowing to thrive, we need to train not just artists, but teachers who can train others. That multiplication effect is how knowledge spreads and strengthens. Her teaching program produced remarkable results. Former students now taught at major craft schools, ran their own studios, trained their own apprentices. They extended Sophia's influence far beyond what she could do directly. One former student, David, now ran significant glassblowing program at university. He taught hundreds of students over his career, many of whom became professional glassblowers. Through David alone, Sophia's influence touched thousands of people. "You created this," David told her. "You trained me, I trained my students, they're training theirs. Your teaching multiplies forward through generations. That's real legacy." Sophia felt deep satisfaction hearing this, more than her own artwork, though she was proud of that. More than recognition and awards, though those pleased her. Her truest legacy was knowledge transmitted, values embodied by students, community strengthened through generosity. When Sophia turned 65, her friends and former students organized surprise celebration at a major craft museum. The museum dedicated an entire gallery to retrospective of her work, pieces from across her career, showing evolution of her style and vision. Early work showed technical uncertainty, but clear artistic sensibility. Middle period demonstrated mastery of technique and development of signature style. Recent work showed mature artists willing to take risks, to experiment, to push boundaries. Walking through the retrospective, Sophia felt complex emotions. Pride in work accomplished, yes, but also humility, recognizing how much she'd learned from glass itself, from Michael and other teachers, from students who had challenged and inspired her. The opening reception drew several hundred people, collectors, curators, fellow artists, former students, friends. Many people spoke about Sophia's impact on their lives and on the field. Michael, now in his 80s but still blowing glass, spoke about teaching Sophia. "She came to me as complete beginner, but with hunger to learn, dedication to practice, willingness to work hard. I just provided guidance. She did the work. Watching her develop over 25 years has been privilege." Margaret, the former pharmacist Sophia had mentored, spoke about transformation. "Sophia didn't just teach me glassblowing. She showed me that complete career change at midlife was possible. She modeled how to build artistic practice that sustained life financially and nourished soul creatively. I'm not only glassblower today, I'm a whole person because of her example." David talked about Sophia's teaching legacy. Through her program, Sophia has trained hundreds of glassblowers and dozens of teachers. Her influence extends through multiple generations now. Students she never met work in styles she influenced, embody values she taught. That's profound impact. A curator from Smithsonian spoke about Sophia's contribution to contemporary craft. Sophia Moore has shown that traditional glassblowing techniques remain vital in contemporary art. Her work bridges craft and fine art, beautiful function and conceptual depth. She's influenced entire generation of glass artists. When Sophia spoke, she emphasized gratitude for Michael, who taught her, for glass that instructed her, for students who learned from her, for collectors who supported her, for opportunities that allowed her to pursue this work. "I was lucky," she said, "lucky to discover glassblowing at 38 when I desperately needed it. Lucky to have support and resources to pursue it. Lucky to find teachers and community. But luck isn't passive. You have to be ready for it, open to it, willing to follow when it calls. When glass called me, I answered. That changed everything." The retrospective traveled to several museums over the following year. Tens of thousands of people saw it. Many wrote to Sophia describing how her work or her story affected them. Some became glassblowers, others pursued different creative paths. All shared sense of being inspired toward more meaningful work. Sophia continued blowing glass into her late 60s, though at reduced pace. Her body couldn't handle the physical demands as it once had. But she still worked several hours daily, still found deep satisfaction in shaping molten glass. She also spent more time on what she called wisdom teaching, less focused on technical instruction, more focused on sharing understanding gained through decades of practice. She taught about working from flow state, about letting ego dissolve into work, about finding meaning through sustained dedication to craft. These teachings weren't specific to glassblowing. They applied to any practice pursued with commitment and presence. People from various fields attended her workshops, not to learn glassblowing specifically, but to understand her approach to practice and life. "Glass taught me everything important," Sophia would say. "Patience. Glass moves at its own pace, can't be rushed. Presence. You must be completely here or you fail. Humility. Glass is harder than you, older than you, wiser than you. Acceptance. Glass has flaws and character you must work with, not against. Transformation. Rough material becomes beauty through patient effort." These lessons resonated far beyond glassblowing. They were life lessons, applicable to any endeavor. Sophia was teaching through glass, but really teaching about living well, working meaningfully, being present. As she approached 70, Sophia began explicitly preparing for eventual retirement. Not stopping completely, she would blow glass until she physically couldn't, but stepping back from public work, making space for others, focusing on what brought her joy rather than what built career. She closed her training program after 20 years, having taught hundreds of students. She reduced her teaching to occasional special workshops. She created work only when inspired, not to meet gallery demands or deadlines. This simplification felt right. She had worked so hard for so long, building career, teaching students, serving field. Now she could simply be an artist creating what called to her, a teacher sharing when asked, a human enjoying the fruits of decades of dedicated work. She thought about her journey often, from burned-out analyst to fulfilled artist, from disconnected from her hands to master of material craft, from empty despite success to satisfied despite simplicity. It had been profound transformation, and it had all started with one moment, seeing glass in gallery window, feeling inexplicable pull, having the courage to follow it despite fear and doubt. That one decision to try beginner workshop had changed everything.
Sophia died peacefully at 78. She had been in her studio working on a small piece when her heart stopped. She died as she had lived her last 4 decades, present with glass, engaged in work she loved, exactly where she belonged. Her memorial was held at the Craft Museum, where her retrospective had been shown. The main gallery was filled with her glasswork, glowing forms and brilliant colors, elegant vessels catching light, experimental sculptures pushing boundaries. The pieces bore witness to her life and work. Hundreds attended, former students, fellow artists, collectors, people whose lives she'd touched. They gathered among her work, celebrating her life, honoring her contribution. David spoke about her teaching. Sophia didn't just teach technique, she taught approach to practice, to life. She showed us that work could be meaningful, that art could sustain, that transformation was possible at any age. Everyone she taught carries this forward. Margaret shared her transformation. I was dying inside as pharmacist. Sophia showed me different path, not just glassblowing specifically, but living authentically, working meaningfully, choosing courage over comfort. She changed my entire trajectory. Michael, now very elderly, spoke about teaching her. Taking that first workshop, Sophia was frightened, uncertain, but determined. She worked harder than anyone I'd taught. She wasn't most naturally talented student, but she was most dedicated. That dedication, more than talent, made her great artist and teacher. A curator spoke about legacy. Sophia's work will endure for generations. Glass doesn't decay. Her pieces will be in museums and collections centuries from now. But her truest legacy is students she trained, teachers she developed, community she strengthened through generosity. After formal service, people examined her work closely, touching smooth surfaces, admiring colors, remembering the woman who had breathed life into molten glass. Her pieces glowed in museum lighting, seemed alive despite her death. Her studio was preserved as teaching space. A foundation maintained it, allowed glassblowers to work there, kept her tools and equipment available for students. Her presence remained palpable in the space she'd inhabited for decades. Her glasswork continued serving its purpose. In museums and homes, in galleries and public spaces, her pieces caught light and breathed color. They created beauty that nourished viewers, invited contemplation, demonstrated what human breath and patience and dedication could create. The glassblowing community she'd helped build continued thriving. Students she'd trained were now master teachers. Techniques she'd developed were widely used. Values she modeled, generosity, integrity, commitment to quality, influenced emerging generation. 20 years after Sophia's death, a woman named Anna stood in a gallery looking at one of Sophia's bowls. Anna was 39, a successful lawyer,
completely burned out and empty. The bowl, swirling blues and greens, elegant form, glowing with inner light, drew her into unexpected stillness. She stood before it for 30 minutes, mesmerized. Something about the piece spoke to her deeply. The combination of beauty and function, the organic flowing form, the sense that breath and fire had created this. She read the label, Sophia Moore, 1952 to 2030. Glass artist who transformed from investment analyst to master glassblower at 38. Anna felt shock of recognition. Investment analyst to glass artist at 38? She was lawyer at 39. If Sophia could transform, could Anna? She bought catalog, researched Sophia's story, learned about her journey. She signed up for beginner glassblowing workshop. Working with molten glass for first time, breathing form into existence, she felt something shift. 3 months later, Anna gave notice at her law firm. She apprenticed with glassblower for a year. She committed completely to the craft. She was following Sophia's path, not copying it. Anna would develop her own style, her own voice, her own way, but walking the essential patterns Sophia had walked, finding calling at midlife, having courage to change completely, building life around meaningful work, discovering herself through craft. The lineage continued. Sophia had learned from Michael. She taught David and Margaret and hundreds of others. They taught their students. Anna learned from one of those students. Knowledge flowed forward through living chains of teaching. And in studios everywhere, glassblowers worked. They gathered molten glass on pipes. They blew air through pipes, creating bubbles. They shaped glass with tools and gravity and patience. They created beauty from fire and breath and dedication. They practiced ancient craft in modern world, kept tradition alive through continuous adaptation, expressed contemporary vision through timeless technique. Each was individual, but connected to all others through shared practice, shared passion, shared commitment to glass. Sophia's spirit lived in their work. Her teaching resonated in their practice. Her example inspired their dedication. She was gone, but never absent, dead, but forever present in glass and students and lineage extending forward through time. The breath continues, each glassblower breathing life into molten material, each piece catching light and glowing with color, each student discovering the transformative power of making beauty with fire and breath. Sophia's path, the glassblower's breath, continues calling. To anyone feeling lost, to anyone seeking meaning, to anyone ready to transform, the path is there, the glass waits, the breath begins. Sleep now, dear listener. Let Sophia's story wrap around you like warm-colored glass. Know that transformation calls, that meaningful work exists, that it's never too late to answer your calling. Rest deeply. Dream of molten glass and flowing forms, of breath creating beauty, of lives transformed through courage and dedication. All is well. The glass glows. The breath shapes beauty. The teaching flows forward, forever breathing, eternally glowing, now and always. Sweet dreams.
As Sophia entered her final decade of active work, her relationship with glass reached profound depth. She no longer thought about technique. Her hands knew what to do without conscious direction. The work had become completely intuitive, embodied knowledge expressing through action rather than thought. She created her most experimental work during this period. Freed from financial pressure by decades of successful career and wise investments, she could pursue pure artistic vision without compromise. The results were remarkable, pieces that pushed glass to its limits, that explored what the medium could express about light, color, form, transparency. One series investigated the relationship between solid and void. She created vessels with deliberate gaps, absences that were as important as the glass itself. The empty spaces shaped how light moved through the pieces, created interplay between presence and absence, material and immaterial. Another series explored layering, multiple layers of colored glass creating depth and complexity. From different angles, different colors dominated. The pieces changed as viewers moved around them, never appearing the same twice. They were about perspective, about how position determines what we see. These experimental works didn't sell as well as her more conventional pieces, but they taught Sophia more, pushed her thinking further, expressed ideas that mattered to her regardless of commercial success. She was creating for herself now, for the dialogue with material, for the pure exploration of artistic possibility. A contemporary art museum acquired several of these experimental pieces for their permanent collection. The curator wrote, "Sophia Moore's late work demonstrates that she is not just master craftsperson, but important conceptual artist. Her investigations of material, light, and space place her alongside the most significant artists working in any medium." This recognition pleased Sophia, but didn't define her. She'd long ago stopped needing external validation. She knew her own worth, trusted her own vision, worked from deep internal compass rather than external measures of success. Her teaching evolved too. She no longer taught technical workshops. Instead, she offered what she called master sessions, small groups of experienced glassblowers working together, sharing insights, pushing each other toward deeper practice. These weren't classes with teacher and students, but dialogues among practitioners at various stages of mastery. The conversations in these sessions went far beyond glassblowing technique. They explored creativity, artistic vision, sustainable practice, meaning and purpose. Participants found the sessions transformative, not just improving their technical skills, but deepening their understanding of artistic life. Sophia also mentored individual artists more intensively. Young glassblowers would come stay at her studio for weeks or months, working alongside her, learning not through formal instruction, but through observation and conversation. This apprenticeship model was how craft had been taught for centuries, and Sophia found it most effective for transmitting deep knowledge. One apprentice during this period was a young woman named Rosa. She was 32, technically skilled but struggling to find her artistic voice, uncertain whether she could sustain herself as artist long term. Sophia worked with Rosa for 6 months, not teaching technique,
Rosa already had that, but helping her discover what she wanted to express, developing confidence in her own vision, understanding the practical realities of an artistic career. "You have all the technical skills you need," Sophia told Rosa. "What you're missing is belief in your own vision, courage to follow it even when others don't understand, patience to develop it over years. Those are harder to learn than technique, but more important." Rosa bloomed under this encouragement. She started creating work that was distinctly hers, combining traditional glass forms with contemporary materials like metal and wood, creating pieces that bridged craft and sculpture. She found galleries interested in her hybrid approach, began building a sustainable career. "Sophia gave me permission to be myself," Rosa said years later. "I was trying to make work that fit what I thought art glass should be. She helped me see that my unique perspective, the boundary crossing, the material combinations, was my strength, not weakness." Watching Rosa and other young artists develop gave Sophia deep satisfaction, more than her own work, though she still created actively, more than recognition, though she had achieved that. Her truest joy was facilitating others' growth, supporting their development, helping them find their own paths. This was what teaching had always been about for Sophia, not just transmitting technical knowledge, but supporting whole persons in becoming themselves more fully. Glass was the medium, but the real work was human development, artistic maturation, discovering authentic voice. In her early 70s, Sophia began writing seriously about her practice. Not how-to manuals about glass-blowing technique, plenty of those existed, but reflections on craft as way of life, on what decades of working with molten glass had taught her about living well. Her first book, Breathing Fire, A Glassblower's Meditations, combined memoir with philosophy. She wrote about her journey from investment banking to glass, about what she'd learned through decades of practice, about how working with material had transformed her understanding of herself and world. The book found audience beyond glass artists, people interested in mindfulness, in meaningful work, in midlife transformation, in craft as spiritual practice, all resonated with her reflections. The book became unexpected bestseller. Sophia Moore writes about glassblowing, one reviewer noted, but she's really writing about presence, about dedication, about finding meaning through sustained attention to practice. Her insights apply to any endeavor pursued with commitment. The book's success brought speaking invitations. Sophia traveled to conferences on craft, on mindfulness, on meaningful work. She spoke about what glass had taught her, about transformation through dedication to practice, about building life around values rather than just career advancement. Her talks resonated powerfully. Many in audiences were where she had been at 38, successful by conventional measures, but empty, seeking something more meaningful. Her story gave them hope and practical example. She showed transformation was possible, provided a roadmap for how. One talk she gave at business conference was particularly impactful. The audience was successful executives, many burned out but trapped by golden handcuffs. Sophia spoke honestly about her own journey, the fear of leaving security, the financial struggles, the doubts, but also the profound satisfaction of finding work aligned with values. "I make far less money now than I did in finance," she told them, "but I'm infinitely richer. I wake up eager to work rather than dreading it. I create beauty that serves people rather than just moving money around. I live according to my own values rather than corporate demands. That's real wealth." Many people approached her afterward, asking how to make similar changes. She gave practical advice: save money, develop new skills while employed, start small, build gradually. But she also emphasized the internal work required: clarifying values, developing courage, accepting uncertainty, trusting the process. Several people in that audience did eventually leave corporate careers to pursue craft or art. One became woodworker, another started organic farm, a third opened an art school for underprivileged children. Each credited Sophia's talk with giving them courage to change. This influence beyond glass pleased Sophia. She wasn't just helping people blow glass, she was modeling transformation, demonstrating that we can build lives around meaning rather than just money, showing that authentic work was possible even if it required sacrifice. Sophia wrote second book focused on teaching craft. The Teacher's Breath, Passing Knowledge Forward, explored how craftspeople could teach effectively, how to transmit not just technical skills, but values and understanding, how to support students' development while respecting their individual paths. The book became widely used in craft education programs. Teachers found her insights valuable about meeting students where they are, about adapting to different learning styles, about balancing structure and freedom, about when to push and when to support. "Every teacher should read this," one craft school director said. Sophia articulates what master teachers know intuitively, that good teaching is about whole person, not just skills transfer. She provides practical guidance for embodying this understanding. Writing these books required Sophia to articulate knowledge that had become intuitive through decades of practice. It was challenging but valuable, both for readers who benefited from her insights and for Sophia herself, whose understanding deepened through the process of explaining it. She also created video series about her practice, not instructional videos about technique, but contemplative films showing her working, with voiceover sharing her thoughts and reflections. The videos captured the meditative quality of her practice, the flow state of working with molten glass. These videos found audience among people who would never blow glass, but who found watching someone work from deep presence to be itself meditative. The videos became used in mindfulness programs, in art therapy, in contemplative studies courses. "Watching Sophia work is meditation," one mindfulness teacher commented. "You see complete presence, total absorption in work, ego dissolved into process. This is what we teach conceptually. Sophia demonstrates it visibly." All this teaching, books, talks, videos, mentoring, was Sophia's way of passing forward what she'd received. Michael had taught her generously. She taught others the same way. Knowledge wanted to spread, wanted to serve, wanted to multiply through sharing. As she approached 75, Sophia thought about legacy more consciously. She wouldn't live forever. How could she ensure her understanding continued serving even after she was gone? Books and videos helped, but living tradition required living teachers, ongoing practice, students teaching students. She established foundation to support craft education. Endowed with portion of her estate, the foundation provided scholarships for students pursuing craft seriously, supported master teachers, funded educational programs. The foundation would continue her work of making craft education accessible after she died. She also worked on a documentary film about her life and practice. Film crew spent a year following her, working in studio, teaching students, reflecting on her journey. The resulting film, Breath and Fire, the Sophia Moore story, became an important document of her life and work. The film preserved not just her techniques, but her presence, her way of working, her relationship with material and students. Future glassblowers could watch her work, could see how she moved, how she related to glass, how she taught. The film became a teaching tool used in glass programs worldwide. "This film is invaluable," one teacher said. "Students can watch master at work, can see decades of experience embodied in movement and decision-making. Sophia's presence comes through powerfully. It's next best thing to studying with her directly." Through all these ways, books, films, foundation, trained teachers, ongoing students, Sophia was ensuring her knowledge would continue flowing forward even after her death. She was weaving herself into a larger tradition, contributing her thread to a tapestry that extended far beyond her individual life. In her final years, Sophia created with complete freedom. She had no deadlines, no gallery pressures, no financial needs. She made only what called to her, when it called to her, in whatever form seemed right. The work from this period was spare, essential, reduced to core elements. Not elaborate or technically showy, but profound in their simplicity. Each piece felt inevitable, as if it could be no other way. One series consisted of simple bowls in single colors, pure blue, pure green, pure amber. No decoration, no complexity, just perfect form in single hue. The simplicity was deceptive. Creating perfect form required more skill than creating elaborate decoration. Every slight irregularity showed there was nowhere to hide. These bowls were among her finest work. Critics noted their distilled essence, their profound simplicity, their quiet authority. Collectors competed for them. Museums acquired them for permanent collections. But Sophia wasn't creating for critics or collectors. She was creating to satisfy her own sense of rightness, to follow what glass wanted to become, to express understanding earned through 50 years of practice. She also created gifts for special people in her life. She made bowl for Michael, her first teacher, now in his late 80s and frail. She made peace for each of her closest students. She made vessels for friends who had supported her over decades. These gift pieces were particularly precious, made with love and gratitude, given freely without expectation of anything in return. They embodied Sophia's values of generosity and connection. The piece she made for Michael was extraordinary, a vessel in deep blue glass with swirling inclusions of gold. It somehow captured the warmth and depth of their long teacher-student relationship, made visible decades of guidance and gratitude. "This is too beautiful," Michael said, tears in his eyes. "I don't deserve this."
"You gave me everything," Sophia replied. "This is smallest possible thank you. Without your teaching, your patience, your belief in me, none of my life as Glassblower would exist. This piece tries to express that debt." Michael kept the piece on his bedside table, where he could see it daily. He died 6 months later, peacefully in sleep. The bowl went to his daughter, who treasured it as physical embodiment of the connection between her father and his finest student. Sophia's last piece, created just weeks before her death, was smallest she'd ever made. A simple sphere 2 inches in diameter, clear glass with single swirl of deep blue within. Perfect in its simplicity, complete in its minimalism, it seemed to contain everything she'd learned, distilled to essence. She gave it to Rosa, the young artist she'd most recently mentored. "Keep this," Sophia said. "Let it remind you to stay true to your vision, to work from presence, to create what matters to you, regardless of external pressure. That's what this represents: essence, authenticity, truth." Rosa kept the sphere on her workbench where she could see it as she worked. It became her talisman, her reminder of Sophia's teachings, her connection to lineage she was now part of. In her final months, Sophia spent less time making and more time simply being. She would sit in her studio surrounded by tools and equipment she'd used for decades, touching them gently, remembering years of work, feeling gratitude for everything glass had given her. She had no regrets. She had lived fully, had pursued her calling completely, had created beauty and shared knowledge generously. She had transformed from who she thought she should be into who she really was. She had found her path and walked it all the way. When death approached, Sophia was ready, not eager, but accepting. She had lived well. She had done her work. She could release this life peacefully. Her last words to David, visiting her in hospice, were simple. "Keep blowing glass. Keep teaching. Keep the knowledge flowing. That's how I continue." David promised, tears streaming, "Every piece I make, every student I teach carries you forward. The breath continues." Sophia smiled, closed her eyes, breathed out slowly, and on that final breath she released this life, her spirit returning to the elements, fire and air, earth and water, from which glass itself was made. Sophia's memorial service was held at the Craft Museum, where her retrospective had shown. Her glasswork surrounded the gathering, bowls and vessels, sculptures and installations, experiments
and masterworks. The pieces glowed in museum lighting, caught and held the light she had breathed into them decades before. Hundreds attended, students, colleagues, collectors, people whose lives she'd touched through her work or her teaching. They gathered among her creations to remember, to celebrate, to grieve, to give thanks. David spoke about her teaching. Sophia didn't just teach glassblowing, she taught way of being, present, dedicated, generous, authentic. She showed us that work could be meditation, that craft could be spiritual practice, that transformation was possible at any age. Everyone she taught carries this understanding forward. Rosa shared about her mentorship. I was technically skilled but artistically lost when I met Sophia. She helped me find my own voice, develop confidence in my unique vision, build sustainable practice. She gave me what good teachers give, not just knowledge, but belief in my own potential. Margaret, the former pharmacist, spoke about transformation. I was dying inside in my pharmaceutical career. Sophia showed me a different path. She proved that complete career change was possible, that meaningful work existed, that we could build lives around our values rather than just financial security. She changed my entire career trajectory. A curator spoke about legacy. Sophia Moore's work will endure for centuries, but her influence extends far beyond the objects she made. Through her teaching, her writing, her generous sharing of knowledge, she has shaped the field of contemporary glass and influenced countless lives. That's profound legacy. After formal remembrances, people moved among her work, touching smooth surfaces, admiring colors, remembering the woman who had breathed life into molten glass for 50 years. The pieces felt alive despite her death, glowing with light and color and presence. Her studio was preserved as memorial and teaching space. The foundation she'd established maintained it, allowed glassblowers to work there, kept her tools and equipment available for use. Students working in Sophia's studio felt her presence, learned from the space she'd inhabited, continued the work she'd loved. Her books remained in print, continued finding new readers, continued inspiring people toward craft and meaningful work. Her videos were widely used in teaching programs. Her documentary played regularly on arts programming. Her influence continued spreading through multiple channels. The glassblowing community she'd strengthened through decades of generosity continued thriving. Students she'd trained were now master teachers themselves. Techniques she'd developed were widely practiced. Values she'd embodied, generosity, integrity, commitment to excellence, influenced the field's culture. 20 years after Sophia's death, a woman named Carmen stood in a gallery looking at one of Sophia's early bowls. Carmen was 41, successful marketing executive, burned out and empty. The bowl, simple form in swirling blues, drew her into unexpected stillness. She stood before it for a long time, feeling something shift inside her. The bowl was so beautiful, so perfectly made, so clearly created by someone who cared deeply about their work. When had Carmen last cared deeply about anything she made? She read the label, Sophia Moore, investment analyst who became glassblower at 38, left corporate career to pursue craft full-time. Carmen felt shock of recognition, investment analyst to glassblower, corporate career to craft. At 38, Carmen was marketing executive at 41. If Sophia could change, could Carmen? She bought Sophia's biography, read it in one sitting, felt Sophia's journey resonating in her bones. She signed up for beginner glassblowing workshop, working with molten glass for first time, breathing form into existence. She knew she had found something essential. 6 months later, Carmen gave notice at her marketing firm. She apprenticed with a glassblower descended from Sophia's teaching lineage. She committed fully to learning the craft. She was following Sophia's path in her own way.
The pattern repeated across decades, across generations. Someone burned out from conventional career discovered Sophia's story. Inspired, they tried glassblowing. Moved by the experience, they committed to it seriously. Their lives transformed through dedication to craft. Each was individual, each had unique story, but all shared connection to Sophia. Inspired by her example, encouraged by her teaching, direct or through her students, supported by community she'd helped build, sustained by values she'd modeled. The lineage flowed forward. Michael taught Sophia. Sophia taught David and Rosa and Margaret and hundreds of others. They taught their students. Carmen learned from one of those students. Knowledge transmitted through unbroken chain of teaching and learning. And in studios everywhere, glassblowers worked. They gathered molten glass on pipes. They breathed air through pipes, creating bubbles. They shaped glass with tools and gravity and patience. They created beauty from fire and breath and dedication. Each breath was continuation of ancient practice. Each piece was link in chain stretching back millennia. Each glassblower was part of living tradition, contributing their voice to ongoing song. Sophia's breath, her life force, her creative energy, her spirit lived in this work. Her teaching resonated in their practice. Her example inspired their dedication. She was gone but never absent, dead but forever present in glass and students and tradition extending forward through time. The breath continues, each glassblower breathing life into molten material, each piece catching light and glowing with color. Each student discovering transformative power of making beauty with fire and breath and complete presence. Sophia's path, the glassblower's breath, continues calling. To anyone feeling lost, to anyone seeking meaning, to anyone ready to transform, the path is there. The glass waits, the breath begins. Now, always, forever. Sleep deeply, dear listener. Let Sophia's story wrap around you like colored glass. Know that transformation calls,
that meaningful work exists, that your own breath can create beauty. Rest in the glow. Dream of molten glass and flowing colors, of breath shaping beauty, of lives transformed through courage and dedication to craft. All is well. The furnace glows, the glass flows, the breath continues. Forever breathing, eternally shaping, always creating. Sweet dreams. Decades after Sophia's last breath, glass continues teaching. In furnaces across the world, molten glass glows orange at 2,000 degrees. In studios large and small, glassblowers gather that molten material, breathe air through pipes, shape beauty from fire. Each piece created extends an unbroken chain of practice stretching back 2 millennia. The Syrian glassblowers who invented the technique, the Venetian masters who perfected it, the studio glass pioneers who democratized it, Sophia and countless others who kept it alive. All are present in each new piece created. This is what tradition means, not rigid adherence to unchanging forms, but living practice adapting to each generation while maintaining essential knowledge. Each glassblower adds their voice while honoring those who came before. Sophia understood this deeply. She learned traditional techniques from Michael, but developed her own artistic voice. She taught classical methods, but encouraged students to innovate. She respected lineage while pushing boundaries. This balance, honoring tradition while innovating within it, is how craft survives and thrives. Too much respect for tradition becomes stagnation. Too much innovation loses essential knowledge. Sophia walked the middle way and taught her students to do the same. A researcher studying successful midlife career transitions interviewed dozens of people who had left conventional careers for craft. Sophia's name appeared repeatedly. Many had read her books, heard her speak, or studied with her students. Her story had inspired their own transformations. Sophia's show showed us the template, one former lawyer turned furniture maker said. Leave unfulfilling career, apprentice in new craft, build sustainable practice around meaningful work. She proved it was possible, provided roadmap for how. Without her example, I might never have found courage to change. The researcher documented how Sophia's influence multiplied. Each person she directly taught went on to teach others. Each person inspired by her story encouraged others. Each piece of her work that moved someone created a ripple effect of transformation. Her influence is fractal, the researcher concluded, spreading outward in ever-expanding circles, each circle generating new circles. A conservative estimate suggests Sophia directly or indirectly influenced thousands of career transitions, helped tens of thousands discover craft, touched millions through her work and writing. This kind of legacy, measured not in objects but in lives transformed, not in achievements but in influence, was what mattered to Sophia. She created beautiful glasswork, yes, but her truest art was facilitating others' transformation, showing them their own potential, supporting them in becoming themselves. The foundation she established continued operating decades after her death. It had funded hundreds of scholarships, supported dozens of master teachers, enabled countless students to access craft education they couldn't otherwise afford. One scholarship recipient, young woman from low-income background who became accomplished glassblower, said, "Sophia's scholarship changed my life trajectory. I couldn't have afforded glass education otherwise. Because of her generosity, I discovered my calling, developed my skills, and now support myself doing work I love. I'm paying it forward by mentoring students from similar backgrounds." Stories like this showed how Sophia's influence multiplied across generations. Her generosity enabled others' success. Their success enabled them to help others. The chain of giving continued indefinitely. Museums holding Sophia's work reported something unusual. Visitors spent extraordinary amounts of time with her pieces, far longer than average for most art. Guards noticed people sitting before her work for extended periods, obviously moved, often returning multiple times during exhibition.
Something about her work affects people deeply, one curator observed. They're not just looking at beautiful objects, they're encountering presence, receiving teaching. The work seems to communicate directly, bypassing words, touching people in wordless ways. This confirmed what Sophia had always believed, that how you make something affects what you make in subtle but powerful ways. She had created from presence, from silence, from love of material and process. Those qualities were perceptible to viewers, invited them into similar states. Her work was teaching even without her physical presence. The glass itself transmitted what she had embodied: patience, attention, dedication, love of craft. People who never met Sophia received her teaching through her work. The documentary about her life continued finding new audiences. Art schools showed it to students. Craft organizations used it in programming. Public television broadcast it regularly. Each viewing inspired some viewers toward their own transformative journeys. One viewer, a teenager uncertain about college, watched the documentary and realized, "I don't have to follow conventional path. I can pursue what truly calls to me." Sophia showed that's possible, even if scary, even if others don't understand. That teenager eventually became sculptor, built satisfying career around his craft. 20 years later, he told an interviewer, "Watching Sophia's documentary at 17 changed my life direction. She showed me authentic path was possible. I've tried to live that way ever since." These ripples of influence spreading outward across time showed true nature of legacy. Not monuments or awards, not fame or recognition, but lives touched, paths illuminated, courage strengthened, transformations enabled. Sophia had lived one life, made one set of choices, but those choices continued inspiring countless others, multiplying effects far beyond her individual actions. This was how one person could change the world, not through grand gestures, but through living authentically and sharing generously.
Her glasswork in museums and collections would last centuries, but her influence through teaching and example would last as long as people sought meaning, as long as anyone felt trapped in conventional life and longed for something more authentic. The glassblowing community she helped build had grown significantly. More glassblowers, more schools, more galleries, more collectors. Glass had moved from obscure craft to recognized art form. Much of this growth traced to Sophia's influence, her advocacy, her teaching, her example of sustainable practice. Professional organizations acknowledged her contribution. One established an annual award in her name, given to a glassblower who embodied her values of excellence and generosity. Recipients of the Sophia Moore Award were consistently people who taught actively, shared knowledge freely, supported community building. The award isn't just about individual achievement, one recipient explained. It's about contribution to field, generosity toward other artists, commitment to teaching and community. That's what Sophia embodied. Honoring her means living those values. Educational programs teaching craft adopted Sophia's approaches. Her emphasis on craft as spiritual practice, on working from presence, on balancing technical skill with artistic vision, on sustainable long-term practice. These became standard elements in curriculum.
Sophia's influence on craft education is profound, one program director said. She articulated what master craftspeople had always known intuitively, that craft done well is meditation, that dedication to practice transforms practitioner, that we serve ourselves and others through making beauty. Her teaching gave us language and framework for these truths. In her old studio, now preserved as memorial space, glassblowers worked daily. Students rented time, practicing skills, creating work, feeling Sophia's presence in the space. Many reported experiencing her as teacher, even though she'd been dead for decades. Working in Sophia's studio, I feel her watching over my shoulder, one student said, not judging, but encouraging. I work more carefully here, more present, more dedicated. The space itself teaches through the energy she left in it. This sense of continued presence wasn't supernatural. It was about how spaces hold the energy of those who used them intensively. Sophia had worked in that studio for 40 years, had poured herself into the practice she loved. The space retained that dedication, transmitted it to those who worked there. Tools she had used were still available: her pipes, her jacks, her paddles. Glassblowers using them felt connected to her through the tools. Using Sophia's tools connects me to lineage, one artist explained. These handled molten glass in her hands, shaped beauty she created. Now they shape glass in my hands. The lineage flows through the tools themselves. Her library of glassblowing books remained in the studio, available for students. Many volumes had her notes in margins, observations, questions, insights gained through practice. Reading her annotations was like receiving additional teaching, understanding her thought process, learning from her reflection. Everything in the studio was teaching tool. The space itself, the tools, the books, the documentation of her work, all contributed to ongoing education of new generations of glassblowers. Sophia had become more than person. She had become principle,
embodied in everything she touched. And in the fire, always, glass melted. The furnace glowed orange hot, timeless, unchanging. Glass had been melted for 2,000 years. It would continue being melted as long as humans valued beauty, craftsmanship, the magic of breath shaping molten material. This continuity was humbling and empowering. Individual glassblowers came and went, but the practice continued. Sophia was part of that eternal practice, one glassblower among millions across millennia. But she was unique part, adding her particular gifts, teaching her particular wisdom, serving in her particular way. The fire remembered everyone who had gathered glass from it. The molten material held memory of every hand that had shaped it. Sophia was part of that memory now, merged with eternal practice, breathing still through every glassblower who continued the work.
In deep of night, when world sleeps and silence reigns, imagine all the glass Sophia ever created. Thousands of pieces scattered across the world, in museums and homes, in galleries and collections, in studios and public spaces. Each piece holds fragment of her breath, trace of her presence, whisper of dedication she brought to making. Bowls and vessels, sculptures and installations, all breathing still with life she gave them. If you could hear them all at once, these pieces, what would they sing? What collective wisdom would they offer? They would sing of transformation, of material changed through fire, of breath creating form, of patient work revealing beauty hidden in molten glass. They would sing of presence, of attention fully given to each moment of making, of mind quieted through focus on work, of being here completely in eternal now of creation. They would sing of dedication, of years of practice, of countless hours at furnace, of persistent effort building mastery, of commitment to craft maintained across decades. They would sing of generosity, of knowledge shared freely, of students taught with patience, of community built through mutual support, of beauty offered to world without hoarding or grasping. They would sing of courage, of leaving security for meaning, of risking failure for authentic life, of choosing purpose over profit, of following calling despite fear and doubt. This is Sophia's symphony, played in glass, resonating across decades, continuing forever. Each piece a note, each viewer a listener, each moment of appreciation a participation in ongoing song of beauty and breath. You are listening now. Through this story, you've encountered Sophia's teaching. You've learned about her journey from investment banking to glass, about her dedication to craft, about her commitment to teaching, about her generous spirit, about her transformation from who she thought she should be into who she really was. What will you do with this teaching? How will it change you? Where will it lead you? These are questions only you can answer, but Sophia's example shows possibilities. You could leave unfulfilling work to pursue calling. You could dedicate yourself to practice that engages whole self.
You could learn to work from presence and flow. You could create beauty that serves others. You could teach generously what you learn. You could build life around meaning rather than just money. Or you could simply bring more presence to work you already do, more dedication to practice you already pursue, more generosity to relationships you already have. Even small shifts, sustained over time, transform everything. The glassblower's breath isn't about specific career or craft. It's about quality of engagement, bringing full attention to whatever you do, working from presence rather than distraction, creating rather than just consuming, serving something larger than yourself. You can breathe this quality into any work, any relationship, any aspect of life. You can shape your days the way Sophia shaped glass, with patience, with attention, with dedication, with love. Sophia breathed life into molten glass. You breathe life into whatever medium calls to you, raising children, teaching students, healing patients, growing food, building community, making art, whatever work truly matters to you. The breath is the thing, your breath, your life force, your creative energy, applied with presence and dedication to work you care about. That's what creates beauty. That's what transforms. That's what matters. Sophia showed the way, not the only way. Each person's path is unique, but a way that worked, that transformed, that created beauty and meaning. Her path shows what's possible when you follow calling completely, dedicate yourself fully, share generously.
The furnace still glows. The glass still waits. The breath still shapes beauty. The tradition continues. The practice calls. Will you answer? Will you breathe? Will you shape your life into beauty? The choice is yours. The possibility is real. The breath is yours to give. Sleep now in this knowing. Rest in the glow of possibility. Dream of molten glass and flowing forms, of breath creating beauty, of lives transformed through courage and dedication. All is well. The furnace burns eternal. The glass flows forever. The breath shapes endlessly. Now and always, forever breathing, eternally creating, ceaselessly transforming. The glassblower's breath continues, through you, in you, as you. Breathe deeply, create beautifully, live fully. Sweet dreams, dear glassblower of life. May your breath shape beauty. May your fire burn bright. May your glass glow eternal. Amen, and blessed be. Sleep.
Close your eyes and breathe slowly, deeply. Feel air entering your lungs, filling your body with life. Hold for a moment at top of breath, then release slowly, completely. This breath, in and out, is the essence of glassblowing. Air from lungs expanding molten glass into form. Imagine yourself standing before glowing furnace. Heat radiates outward in waves. Orange light flickers. Inside the furnace, glass melts at 2,000 degrees, glowing like small sun, waiting to be gathered and shaped. You hold blowpipe in your hands, hollow steel tube 5 feet long, one end for gathering glass, other end for blowing. The pipe is warm from being near furnace, solid, real, present in your grip. You dip the pipe into furnace, into the molten glass. You turn it slowly, gathering a blob of glowing orange material onto pipe's end. The glass is heavy, viscous, alive with heat. It drips and flows, responding to gravity, seeking its natural resting state. You withdraw the pipe from furnace. The glass glows brilliant orange. You must work quickly before it cools and stiffens. You bring pipe to your lips, take deep breath, and blow steadily into the pipe.
Your breath, the same breath that keeps you alive, the same air you've been breathing your whole life, enters the molten glass. The glass expands. A bubble forms inside the glowing mass. You are creating form with your most intimate gift, your breath. Feel the wonder of this. Your breath, invisible and internal, becomes visible and external through glass. What was merely air becomes solid beauty. What was inside you shapes the world outside you. You turn the pipe constantly, using gravity to help shape the form. You return it to furnace to reheat when glass stiffens. You blow again, expanding the bubble further. You shape with tools, paddle flattening here, jacks creating opening there. The work requires complete presence. You cannot think about yesterday or tomorrow. Only this glass, this moment, this breath, this movement. Past and future dissolve. There is only eternal now of making. Time passes without you noticing. Could be minutes, could be hours. You are in flow state, completely absorbed, ego dissolved into work. There is no separation between you and glass, between breath and form, between making and being. Finally, the piece is complete. You transfer it from blowpipe to punty rod. You shape the lip, you add final touches. Then you place it in a annealing oven where it will cool slowly overnight. Tomorrow you will see finished piece, but tonight you simply breathe in and out, creating and releasing, giving form to molten material through your own life force. This is what Sophia did for 50 years, day after day, breath after breath, piece after piece, each one requiring presence, dedication, love, each one shaped by her breath, carrying her energy forward through time. This is what every glassblower does, breathing life into glass, creating beauty from fire and air, practicing ancient craft in contemporary world, continuing tradition that stretches back millennia, that will continue long after any individual is gone. You can do this too.
not glassblowing specifically, though you could learn if called, but breathing your life into your work, whatever that work may be, bringing full presence to what you create, shaping your days and years with the same care a glassblower shapes molten glass. Every breath is opportunity for presence. Every action is chance to create beauty. Every moment is invitation to fully engage with life. Sophia showed us this. Through her dedication to glass, she taught about dedication to life itself. Through her presence at Furnace, she demonstrated presence in every moment. Through her breath-shaping beauty, she showed us all how to breathe beauty into existence. Breathe now, slowly, deeply. Feel the air entering and leaving. This same breath could create glass sculpture. This same breath does create your life. Shape it well. Breathe it consciously. Make it beautiful. The furnace glows within you. The molten possibility waits. Your breath is ready. The form wants to emerge. Begin now. Begin here. Begin with this breath. In, gather possibility. Out, shape beauty. In, presence. Out, creation. In, life. Out, art. Continue breathing. Continue being. Continue becoming. The glassblower breathes. The glass forms. The beauty emerges. The teaching continues. You are the glassblower. Life is the glass. Breath is the tool. Presence is the practice. Beauty is the result. Breathe. Create. Be. Rest now in this knowing. Sleep in this peace. Dream in this possibility. All is well. The breath flows. The form emerges. The beauty awaits. Now and forever. In and out. Create and release. Forever breathing. Sweet dreams, beloved Creator. Breathe deeply. Shape beautifully. Live fully. The glassblower's blessing. May your breath create beauty. May your fire burn bright. May your forms glow eternal. May your practice sustain you. May your teaching flow forward. May your life be art. Amen. Sleep. Breathe. Peace.
May you breathe consciously, knowing each breath is a creative act, life shaping itself through you. May you work with presence, bringing full attention to each moment, each task, each relationship. May you find your medium, the material or practice that calls to you, invites your care, offers opportunity for mastery. May you dedicate yourself completely, pursuing practice with consistency and commitment across years and decades. May you learn from failure, seeing each mistake as teacher, each setback as opportunity for growth. May you develop patience, understanding that valuable things require time, that mastery comes through sustained effort. May you honor tradition while innovating within it, respecting those who came before while adding your own voice. May you teach generously, sharing what you've learned freely, supporting others in their development. May you build community, recognizing that we thrive through mutual support rather than isolated competition. May you transform courageously, leaving what doesn't serve to pursue what does, risking security for meaning. May you work from love, not fear, creating to serve rather than to impress, making beauty for its own sake. May you find flow regularly, experiencing that dissolution of ego, that merging with work, that timeless presence. May you sustain practice long-term, finding renewable pace, balancing challenge and rest, making it lifetime practice. May you age gracefully in your craft, adapting as body changes, shifting from doing to being, becoming elder who teaches through presence. May you leave legacy that matters, not wealth or fame, but knowledge transmitted, lives touched, beauty created, values embodied. May Sophia's path inspire your own, not to copy, but to find equivalent dedication, equivalent transformation, equivalent service. May you remember, you are not too old, you are not too late, you are not too stuck. Transformation is always possible. New breath is always beginning. Your calling is always calling. May you answer. May you breathe. May you create. The Glassblower's final word, breathe. Just this, in and out, creating and releasing forever. Sleep in peace. Dream in beauty. Wake in presence. The breath is yours. The glass awaits. The form calls. The beauty beckons. Begin now. Begin always. Begin forever. Breathe. Sweet dreams.
In museum, where Sophia's retrospective once hung, her work remains in permanent collection. 25 pieces spanning 50 years of practice. Each piece tells story, early uncertainty becoming confident mastery, traditional forms evolving into experimental vision, beauty created from fire and breath and dedication. Visitors come daily. They stand before Sophia's work, drawn by the colors and forms, held by something deeper. The pieces seem alive somehow, seem to glow from within, seem to breathe despite being solid glass. What they're sensing is Sophia's presence, not supernatural, but real. The care and attention she brought to making, preserved in the glass itself, transmitted to attentive viewers. Art made from presence carries presence. Work made from love carries love. One visitor, teenage girl uncertain about future, stood before Sophia's final bowl, the one with single swirl of blue in clear glass. Simple form, but somehow containing everything. The girl stood for a long time, feeling something shift inside her. She didn't know it was Sophia's final piece, didn't know the story of transformation from investment banking to glass, didn't know about the teaching and the generosity and the decades of dedicated practice. She just knew this bowl touched something in her, awakened something,
showed her possibilities she hadn't imagined. She read the wall text, learned about Sophia, read more, watched a documentary, read the books. Something ignited in her, not to become glassblower specifically, but to live with that kind of dedication, that quality of presence, that commitment to making beauty. She became architect, good one, dedicated one, who brought to buildings the care Sophia brought to glass. Different medium, same spirit. Different craft, same values. The lineage extended in unexpected direction. This happened repeatedly. Sophia's work inspired people across fields and practices. Musicians brought her dedication to their practice. Teachers brought her presence to classrooms. Healers brought her care to patients. Business leaders brought her values to organizations. She influenced directly through teaching glassblowers. She influenced indirectly through modeling dedication to practice, commitment to beauty, generosity in sharing knowledge. Her example showed how to live well, work meaningfully, serve generously. In the studio where she worked for 40 years, the furnace still glows. Different glassblowers work there now, but the practice continues unchanged in its essentials. Gather molten glass, blow air through a pipe, shape with tools and gravity, create beauty from fire and breath. The tools Sophia used are still there, still functional, still creating. Her favorite pipe, her trusted jacks, her well-worn paddles, all available for use. Glassblowers using them feel connected across time to her hands, her breath, her practice. Using Sophia's tools is like receiving a blessing, one glassblower said. These shaped thousands of pieces in her hands. Now they shape pieces in mine. The practice flows through the tools, generation to generation.
Her library remains intact, available for study. Students browse her books, read her margin notes, learn from her reflections. The books show how she thought, what interested her, how her understanding evolved over decades. Everything in the studio teaches, not just through function, but through being what it is. Space dedicated to craft, tools devoted to making, books holding knowledge, furnace providing heat. The whole environment embodies values, dedication, presence, craft, beauty, generosity. Students working there absorb these values unconsciously. They work more carefully in Sophia's studio. They bring more presence. They feel part of something larger than themselves. Tradition, lineage, living practice connecting them to past and future. And always the fire glows, constant as sun, eternal as practice itself. Glass melts at same temperature it always has. Physical laws unchanged by passing time. The fire knows nothing of Sophia or any individual glassblower. It simply provides heat, melts glass, serves the practice. But through that impersonal fire, personal dedication becomes possible. Without heat, no molten glass. Without molten glass, no glass blowing. Without glass blowing, no beauty created from breath and fire. The fire serves all who approach it with respect and knowledge. Sophia approached the fire for 50 years. She gathered glass thousands of times. She blew thousands of breaths. She shaped thousands of pieces.
Each one required presence, skill, dedication. Each one added to her mastery and to tradition's continuity. Now others approach the same fire. They gather glass from the same furnace. They blow their breaths into their pieces. They add their voices to ongoing song of beauty and craft. The fire doesn't care who approaches it. It serves everyone equally, master and beginner, famous and unknown, young and old. It simply provides heat. What glassblowers do with that heat is up to them. Sophia did something remarkable with it. She created beauty that endures. She taught knowledge that multiplies. She embodied values that inspire. She breathed life into glass that breathes still. And somewhere, always, someone is discovering glass for first time, watching glassblower work and feeling wonder, taking first workshop and experiencing magic of breath shaping molten material, creating first piece and feeling pride of making something real. For some, it will be passing interest. For others, it will become serious hobby. For a few, it will be a calling, a path, a transformation. Those few will follow where Sophia walked, not identically, but equivalently. They'll dedicate themselves to practice. They'll develop mastery through patient effort. They'll find meaning through making beauty. They'll discover themselves through craft. And someday, decades later, they'll be elders passing knowledge forward, teaching the next generation, showing the way, embodying the values, breathing life into tradition that continues breathing through them. This is how craft survives, not through museums or books alone, though these help, but through living practitioners continuing the practice, generation after generation, breath after breath, piece after piece. Sophia is part of that immortal practice now. Her individual life ended, but her practice continues. Through students she taught directly, through people she inspired indirectly, through values she modeled, through beauty she created that still glows in collections and museums.
The breath continues. Each new glassblower breathing life into molten glass. Each piece capturing light and holding color. Each work demonstrating what humans can create with fire and air and dedicated practice. Sophia's breath merged with eternal breath of the practice. Her voice joined chorus of all who came before and all who will come after. She sang her unique song while she lived. The song continues in the singing of others. Sleep now in this continuity. Rest in this tradition. Dream in this eternal practice. You too are part of something larger. Your life is your medium. Your breath shapes your days. Your choices create your forms. Work with care like Sophia. Bring presence like she brought. Dedicate yourself like she dedicated. Serve like she served. Create beauty in your own way, with your own materials, according to your own calling. The fire burns for you too. The glass awaits your breath. The form wants to emerge. The beauty is ready to be born. All is prepared. All is waiting. All is possible. Breathe deeply. Create beautifully. Live fully. The glassblower's practice continues through you, in you, as you, now and forever, breath by breath, piece by piece, life by life. The glow is eternal. The practice is immortal. The beauty is endless. Sleep in peace. Dream in color. Wake glowing. Forever breathing. Forever creating. Forever beautiful. Sweet dreams, beloved glassblower of life. The fire awaits your approach. The glass awaits your breath. The form awaits your shaping. The beauty awaits your creating. Begin when you wake. Begin with your breath. Begin with your presence. Begin with your life. The glassblower's path is yours to walk. Now, always, forever. Breathe, create, glow. Amen. Sleep, peace.
If glass could speak in human words, which it cannot, which it transcends, it might whisper something like this: I have existed for millennia. I am sand melted by fire, transformed by heat from solid to liquid and back again. I am window and vessel, art and utility, clarity and color. I have been shaped by countless hands across ages, Egyptian artisans, Roman craftspeople, Venetian masters, contemporary artists. Each added their vision, their skill, their breath to my forms. Sophia was one of these. For 50 years she gathered me from the furnace. She breathed air into me, creating bubbles that became forms. She shaped me with tools and gravity and patient attention. She made me beautiful. When she worked with me, I taught her patience. I cooled constantly. She had to work within my timeline, responding to my transformation from molten to solid. This taught her to be present, to work with natural processes rather than against them. I taught her humility. I am fragile. One wrong move and I crack, shatter, break. She learned to respect my nature, to work carefully, to accept that some pieces would fail despite her best efforts. I taught her dedication. Mastering glassblowing took her decades, thousands of hours gathering me from the furnace, thousands of breaths blown through pipes, thousands of pieces made. Only through that sustained effort did she achieve mastery. I taught her beauty. I reveal color and light like no other material. I can be transparent or opaque, brilliant or subtle, fluid or geometric. I show what's possible when material and maker work together. Sophia learned these lessons well. She became master glassblower not just through technical skill, but through understanding. She knew me, my nature, my possibilities, my limits. We were partners, not antagonists. Her work showed this partnership.
Her pieces honored my nature while expressing her vision. She revealed my beauty while adding her own. We created together, not her imposing on me, but us discovering forms together.
This is how all good craft works. Not domination of material, but dialogue with it. Not forcing, but responding. Not ignoring natural character, but working with it. Sophia taught this to her students. Listen to the glass, she would say. Let it tell you what it wants to become. Work with it, not against it. Your partners in creation. Those who learned this created beautiful work. Those who tried to dominate me struggled. I resist force. I respond to respect. I reward patience and punish rushing. I teach through my own nature what cannot be learned from books. Now Sophia is gone, but I remain. Her pieces exist in museums and collections, still glowing, still teaching. I hold her breath within me, literally the air she blew through pipes to shape me. Her life force became my form. When people look at pieces Sophia made, they see me, colored glass in elegant forms, but they also sense her, the care she brought, the presence she embodied, the dedication she maintained. I carry her and offer her to all who look with attention. This is my nature. I hold what makers give me. I preserve their intention, their energy, their vision. Long after they're gone, I remain, bearing witness to their skill and dedication. Sophia gave me beauty. I give it back to world. She breathed life into me. I breathe it forward to others. She shaped me with love. I share that love with all who encounter me. This is my purpose, not just to be beautiful object, but to transmit something deeper, the care, the presence, the dedication of maker. These qualities infuse me during creation, remain present indefinitely, affect all who engage with me. People often ask, is craft important in age of mass production, when machines can make things faster, cheaper, more uniformly? I say, craft is more important than ever, precisely because machines can't make what I carry. They can shape glass into forms, but they can't breathe love into it. They can't infuse presence into it. They can't make pieces that teach and transform. Only human makers working with presence can do that. Only craftspeople dedicating themselves to practice can create objects that carry and transmit those qualities. Sophia knew this. Her best pieces aren't necessarily her most technically complex. They're the ones she made with most presence, most dedication, most love. Those pieces glow from within. They affect people deeply. They teach without words. This is my message. This is why I exist, not just as material for making, but as medium for transmitting. What makers pour into me during creation, I hold and offer forward through time. Sophia poured 50 years of dedicated practice into me.
I hold that and offer it to anyone who looks, who touches, who opens themselves to receive. Her teaching continues through me, through glass she shaped with her breath and hands. And I wait for next makers, next glassblowers who will gather me from the furnace, will breathe into me, will shape me with skill and presence. I am ready. I am always ready. I am eternal material, waiting for temporary makers to give me temporary forms that carry eternal truths.
Come to me. Work with me. I will teach you what I taught Sophia: patience, humility, dedication, beauty, presence. These lessons are timeless. I have been teaching them for millennia. I will continue teaching as long as humans work with me. The fire melts me, the breath shapes me, the dedication perfects me, the love infuses me, the beauty emerges through me. I am glass, I am medium, I am teacher, I am ready. Breathe into me, shape me, make me beautiful. I will hold your breath, carry your vision, teach your truth forward through time, forever. This is my nature, this is my gift, this is my teaching. Receive it, honor it, pass it forward. The glass has spoken. And in that speaking, which is really silence deeper than words, which is really presence beyond language, the teaching is complete and continuing, finished and beginning, eternal and ever new. Sleep now in glass's embrace, rest in its clarity, dream in its color. The glass holds you, Sophia blesses you, the breath flows through you. You are transformed, you are molten possibility, you are form emerging, you are beauty being born. Sleep deeply, dream colorfully, wake glowing. The glassblower's final blessing. May you be molten with possibility. May you be shaped by breath. May you be colored with dedication. May you be formed with love. May you be annealed by patience. May you glow with presence. May you shine forever. Now and always, breath and fire, glass and light, beauty eternal. The practice continues. The breath shapes. The glass glows. The teaching flows. Forever. Amen. Sleep. Peace. Glow.
In the end, which is also the beginning, there is breath. Sophia's first breath as glassblower, tentative, uncertain, blowing into molten glass for the first time, creating her first bubble, feeling wonder and terror and possibility all at once. Her final breath, peaceful, complete, releasing this life while still engaged with the work she loved, the glass she served, the practice she embodied for 50 years. Between those breaths, thousands more, each one shaping glass, creating beauty, participating in ancient practice, adding her voice to timeless song. Those breaths live on, in the glass pieces she shaped, in the students she taught, in the tradition she strengthened, in the values she modeled, in the beauty she created that continues glowing, teaching, transforming. Your breath is part of this continuum. Every breath you take is creative act. Every exhalation shapes your world. Every inhalation gathers possibility. You are breathing your life into form, moment by moment, breath by breath. Sophia showed us how to breathe consciously, how to make each breath count, how to create beauty through dedicated presence across decades of practice, not just in glass blowing, but in living. Her path from burned-out analyst to fulfilled artist, from disconnection to presence, from emptiness to meaning, is template available to anyone. The specifics vary, but the pattern holds. Find your calling. Dedicate yourself completely. Work with presence and love. Share generously. Serve beautifully. The glass continues glowing in museums and homes. The furnace continues burning in studios. The breath continues shaping molten material into beauty. The practice continues calling those ready to answer. Will you answer? Will you breathe? Will you create? The choice is always now. The possibility is always present. The breath is always available. Sophia breathed beauty into glass for 50 years. You can breathe beauty into your life for however many years you have. Same principle, different medium. Same dedication, different form. Same love, different expression. Begin with this breath, this one, right now. Breathe in deeply, gathering possibility, drawing in life force, collecting creative energy. Hold for a moment at the top, suspended between past and future, residing in eternal present. Breathe out slowly, shaping your world, creating your forms, making your beauty. Again, in, hold, out. Each cycle a complete creation, each breath a gift given and received, each moment an opportunity for presence and beauty. Sophia's breath has ended, but the breath continues. The eternal breath of creation, the cosmic breath of life, shaping itself through countless forms. You breathe that breath. You shape that form. You create that beauty.
The glass blower's breath is really the creator's breath, the fundamental creative force expressing through individual makers, working through specific mediums, creating beauty in infinite varieties. Sophia knew this in her bones. When she breathed into molten glass, she wasn't just making bowls and vessels. She was participating in cosmic creativity, joining her small breath to great breath, adding her voice to eternal song. You do the same whenever you create anything with presence and love, raising children, making meals, teaching students, healing patients, growing gardens, building businesses, creating art. All are ways of breathing beauty into existence, of shaping life into forms that serve and nourish. The glass glows because Sophia breathed into it with presence and love.
Your life glows when you breathe into it the same way, with full attention, with deep care, with dedicated practice, with generous service. This is the final teaching, not technique, but spirit, not method, but essence, not doing, but being. Breathe consciously, create beautifully, live fully. The glass remembers Sophia's breath, the fire remembers her dedication, the tradition remembers her contribution, the world remembers her beauty. What will remember you? What will you breathe into? How will your breath shape beauty? What forms will carry your presence forward through time? These questions aren't burden, but invitation, not pressure, but possibility, not demand, but gift. You have breath, you have life, you have creative capacity. What will you make with these gifts? Sophia made glass glow. Make your own life glow. Make your work matter. Make your presence felt. Make beauty in whatever ways call to you. The furnace burns for you too. The molten possibility awaits your breath. The forms want to emerge through your shaping. The beauty is ready to be born through your creating. All is prepared. All is possible. All is waiting. Breathe deeply, dear friend. Shape beautifully. Create from love. Serve with joy. Live with presence. The glassblower's path is yours if you choose to walk it. Not literal glassblowing, unless that calls you, but the essential pattern, dedication to practice, presence in work, beauty in creation, generosity in sharing. Sophia walked it fully. You can too. Begin now. Begin here. Begin with this breath. In. Hold. Out. Gather. Suspend. Shape. Possibility. Presence. Beauty. Forever breathing. Forever creating. Forever glowing. The circle closes, the breath continues, the beauty endures. Sleep now in perfect peace, dream in brilliant color, wake glowing with possibility. The glass blower blesses you, the glass holds you, the fire warms you, the breath fills you. All is well. All is beautiful, all is breath, now and forever and always. Sweet dreams, beloved Creator. May your breath shape beauty, may your fire burn bright, may your glass glow eternal. Amen. Blessed be. Sleep well. The end that is no ending, the breath that never ceases, the glow that lasts forever. Breathe. Create. Glow. Sleep.